Tie my hair, inadequacy. Desire to wear my denture, inadequacy. Do anything comes from my feeling that the way things are not enough, I'm not alright. The way I am, I'm not alright. Therefore, I should bring about some change in myself in order to feel that I'm alright. Basically, the need is for me to feel that I'm alright. I am acceptable to my own self. And that basic desire, behind all desires, gets fulfilled when I discover that I'm alright as I am. Thus, to see this truth is the goal of life. For that, the means, the sadhanam suggested by the Vedas is called yajna. Yajna means offering. We can call it sacrifice, we can call it self-offering, self-sacrifice. How does the yajna become the means of discovering that you are adequate or complete? When you say that yajna means sacrifice or self-sacrifice, self-offering, what do you want to offer? What do you need to sacrifice? The sense of ego, individuality, smallness, inadequacy that is suffering from, this is what we have to offer, this is what we have to get rid of. It's only when the sense of smallness or inadequacy is given up that I can discover that I am adequate. I am not small, I am limitless. So ego is the sense of smallness, sense of inadequacy, which is the product of ignorance. Therefore, ignorance is to be given up, and ignorance results into the sense of smallness or inadequacy. Therefore, that is to be given up. That's called sacrifice. So thus, this yajna basically means self-sacrifice, self-offering. Although you can make offering to fulfill your desires also. So when you worship the devatas, Indra or Varuna, it is fulfill some desires. It is one way. But we can worship the devatas also to make us free from desire, either to fulfill the desire or becoming free from desire. So real freedom is the freedom from the desire itself, desire of smallness, inadequacy. That's how the whole idea of yajna is self-offering, self-sacrifice. Sacrificing ego, sacrificing the sense of smallness which is born of ignorance, meaning sacrificing ignorance in our life in the fire of knowledge. So fire very often symbolizes knowledge, because fire dispels darkness and fire burns impurities. So knowledge also dispels the darkness of ignorance. Knowledge also burns the impurities in our mind. Therefore, very often fire is presented as a symbol of knowledge. Therefore, making offering into fire symbolize also making offering of ignorance into the fire of knowledge. So when thus this ego is let us sacrifice in the fire of knowledge, what remains is fire of knowledge. Then what happens? What does this knowledge do? As I say, it reveals the truth of reality. What is that? That what is Ishvara. What is. So Ishvara also is called Brahman in Upanishads. Brahman means limitless. So in the vision, the wise person, what is Ishvara. What is God. What is Brahman. What is limitless. When he looks at me, what does he see? Manifestation of limitless. Looks at you, what does he see? Manifestation limitless. Just as a goldsmith, when he sees an ornament as a bangle, he sees that as the manifestation of gold. Is it not so? When he sees a small earring, then also it is manifestation of gold. See a small nose ring, that also is manifestation of gold. So larger or smaller, whatever be the size and shape and name and use of the ornament may be, in the eyes of the goldsmith, they are nothing but the manifestation of gold. For the goldsmith, the shape or the name or the use of the ornament is not important. What is important? That it is gold is important. Similarly with a wise person, each one of us is an ornament. These ornaments come in different forms and shapes and names, and so also each one of us has a different name and a form and a use and a shape and utility. So just as ornaments differ from each other only in name and form and use, but basically all of them are gold, so also each one of us also differs from others in name and form and use, but the basic substance of which we are the manifestation is the same, and that is called gold, that is called Brahman, that is Ishvara, or that is limitless. What do you mean, Swamiji? I am Brahman? I am Ishvara? How do you call it? I am not Brahman, I am not Ishvara, I am a stupid person. I am no good, I am useless. Swamiji, you don't know how evil I am. You don't know what thoughts are going on in my mind. That's what we complain. That's what we take ourselves to be. That may be so. But behind all the evil thoughts that may be arising in my mind, anger arises, greed arises, jealousy arises, all kinds of things arise in my mind. They do. But if you examine the core nature of anybody, you know what we find? We find that everybody basically is of the nature of love. Even though I display hatred very often, Swami, if there is love is my nature, how come I find myself hating others? There is something called essential, something called incidental. Essential and incidental. For example, in case of an ornament as a bangle, the form, the name and the usefulness is incidental, that it is gold is essential. Therefore you may melt that ornament, the name and form and usefulness will change, but the essential will never change. Similarly also, the hatred comes in me and goes, jealousy comes and goes, all these supposedly negative tendencies come and go. But very often I also display goodness. Sometimes I display goodness. Sometimes I display kindness, isn't it? Sometimes I am a kind person. Sometimes I am a good person. Sometimes I am a loving person. Sometimes. More often I may be a hating person, but sometimes I am a loving person. Question is that I display both love as well as hatred, kindness as well as cruelty, goodness as well as evil. These two contradictory things I display about myself. The point is, which is the reality about me? These two things cannot be reality because they are mutually opposed to each other, exclusive. Where hatred is, there cannot be love. Where kindness is, there cannot be cruelty. I cannot both of them simultaneously. So what do you think I am? How do I like to look at myself? Do I like myself when I'm a hateful person, or do I like myself when I'm a loving person? Do I like myself when I'm a cruel person, or do I like myself when I'm a kind person? When I like anybody else, do I like a cruel person or a kind person, a loving person or a hateful person? Who do I like? Without exception, each one of us likes others as well as ourselves to be good, kind, loving person. Is it not so? I am happy with myself when I am a kind person. I am not happy when I am a cruel person. Is it not so? So in fact, our own experience shows that kindness, goodness, love is in fact what I love, and that is my nature. Which manifests now and then. What do you want? That itself is Brahman. That Brahman or God alone manifests as kindness, goodness, love in all of us. So what we want is, I want to be always a good, kind, loving person. That's what I always want to be. Then I will be happy, always happy. I can never be happy with myself when I am a cruel person. Never. I cannot be happy with myself when I am a hateful person. When I am a jealous person, I don't like. When I am happy with myself, when I am a kind, good, loving person. Is it not so? Suppose I am always kind, always good, always loving. Will I be always happy or unhappy? Suppose it happens, I am always kind and good and loving. Would you like to be like that?
Yes.
So that is a manifestation of Ishvara. And we want that manifestation to be permanent, lasting. When will that happen? When that cruelty, hatred, jealousy is given up. When do you give it up? In fire. Where? In fire of knowledge. Basic sacrifice. Understand that our true nature is kindness, goodness, love. The hatred, jealousy, all of these are the products of ignorance. So what do we need to do? Sacrifice ignorance in the fire of knowledge. Whenever hatred arises in my mind, I remind myself, hey Swami, you are not a hateful person. You are a loving person. When cruelty arises, I remind myself, you are a cruel person, you are a kind person. The reminder alone is not enough. But I should deliberately make myself act as a kind person. You follow? Even though cruel thought comes in my mind, I do not encourage that thought. I remind myself that cruelty is the product of ignorance and my true nature is kindness. Hatred is the product of ignorance. My true nature is love. Jealousy is the product of ignorance. Wishing well is nature of myself. So what do? I deliberately act myself as a kind, good, loving person. How do I do that? By doing what a kind person will do. What a loving person will do. A kind person will never give a slap. He will not snatch away. He will not hurt. He will help. A kind person helps. A loving person reaches out. Therefore, I deliberately make myself a kind, perform actions which display my kindness, goodness or love. This is called sadhana. What is sadhana? The spiritual practice which we can do every moment in all our day-to-day life. So I don't have time for any puja. I don't have time for any japa. No time to attend classes. No time to read Gita. Doesn't matter. Fine. This doesn't require time. What I am suggesting is something that can be implemented every moment. What is called for is just being aware of the thoughts or the feelings or emotions arising in my mind. Making a note of them. And whenever I find this emotion, what we call a negative emotion, or a negative tendency, you know what I do? I do not justify that. I replace it by a positive tendency. And make myself act as motivated by that positive tendency. Our Swamiji says, physicalize your attitude. Don't just keep attitude in your mind, physicalize the attitude. You go to the temple, the attitude is, I should prostrate to the Lord. You don't feel like doing it, but you know that you should, then do it. So do it once and twice, a number of times, a time will come there when you will automatically do it. Thus, deliberately act as a kind person. Act as a giving person. Act as a charitable person. Act as a loving person. Not easy. Why it's not easy? Because I must overcome my habitual or my impulsive nature of hating, etc. I must keep that under control and make myself do the opposite of that. It's called sacrifice, It's called yajna. Yajna means what? Sacrificing cruelty in the fire of kindness. Kindness represents knowledge. Cruelty represents ignorance. All along offering ignorance and fire of knowledge. Practical yajna. So that yajna, the fire sacrifice, as ritual, can be translated as a yajna of offering my ignorance constantly. Because my ignorance wants to control me in every situation. My self-centeredness, I like to grab, I like to dominate, like to control, like to assert. That's my usual tendency. I keep those things under check. And deliberately act out with a tendency that is opposite, which represents my nature. A general explanation of what is practically called yajna. Lord Krishna says, so these are a wise person. Doing this, what happens? Keep on doing this and what happens? Ultimately, all the negative things go away. And what remains is ठंडू पानी लागे जो ना तो
ठंडू में it was
हाँ तो गर्म हो गया So, suppose, imagine somebody doing this constantly, day in and day out, for a long time. You know what will happen? In course of time, what is incidental will go away. The essential will never go away, incidental will go away. Ignorance goes away because it is not natural, it is superimposed. Knowledge or goodness is natural. Evil is unnatural. Therefore, when you assert what is truth, the false has to go. Who is a wise person? A wise person, one who abides in his true nature of being a loving, kind, good person in practical sense. He abides in his nature as Brahman. And what does he see? He sees that each one also is a kind, good, loving person. Meaning that he knows himself as Brahman and sees, even though he may see me as a cruel person, but he knows in his mind that here the cruelty is incidental, kindness is essential. He sees the essential person nature of himself and sees that essential everybody. Therefore, he sees himself as Brahman, sees everyone as Brahman. That's what the verse is. Brahman is God, Ishvara, truth, goodness, beauty, divinity, whatever name you want to give. Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havehi, Brahma Agno, Brahmanahutam, Brahma Yuvatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. His vision that everything is Brahman, everything Ishvara, Narayana, Vasudeva, whatever, Krishna, Shiva, he is expressed in these technical terms, in this verse. You see, when you perform a fire ritual, there are some essential elements in any ritual, like fire ritual. There is fire. In the fire, you offer, that's called oblation. The offering is called oblation, like ghee you offer. You must have seen the priest. He has a wooden ladle. A wooden spoon is called ladle. So the wooden spoon takes ghee, from this vessel, offers it to fire. Have you seen that? So that is his ghee or the material. It can be ghee or anything. There is a ladle with which he takes it, offers to fire. So that ladle is called Arpanam. Fire is called Agni. This ghee is called Havehi. Havehi means oblation. So Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havehi, Brahma Agnau. Says Arpana means the ladle is Brahman. Where in the wise of the wise person. Brahma Havehi, that ghee or clarified butter offered, the oblation is called also Brahman for that person. Brahma Agno, the Agni in which it is offered is also Brahman. Brahmana Hutam, the one who offers also is Brahman. Hutam, the whole offering is Brahman. Brahma Yutana, when he reaches also Brahman. So this is a way to describe the vision of the wise person who sees Brahman or Ishvara in everything. Of course you got to say the chair is Brahman, the table is Brahman, Devadatta is Brahman, Vishnu Mitra is Brahman, man is Brahman, woman is Brahman, plant is Brahman, bird is Brahman, deer is Brahman. That also could have been said, which Lord Krishna says and elsewhere. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Seva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshina. Pandita, wise people see this. In a pious Brahmana, or in a cow, in an elephant, in a dog, in untouchable, everywhere. So, the same vision is described in different ways in different places in Gita. But in this particular place, it is described in this manner. As to how he sees everything as a manifestation of Brahman. But does it mean Swamiji, he doesn't see a ladder? He doesn't see he sees Brahman there? What do you mean by seeing? It is like the goldsmith seeing gold where we see a bangle. It is gold. But for us, important is the name and form and use. For a goldsmith, the important is gold. So for us, the name and form and personality is important. The wise person, the person is important. So every person has a personality. Each one of us is a combination of person and personality called Purusha and Prakriti, spirit and matter. So consciousness requires a vehicle for manifestation. Brahman requires a vehicle for manifestation. So these are personalities. That's different in everyone. But the person, the consciousness of Brahman that manifests is the same. To us today, what is ignorance? Ignorance is giving reality to this costume. Knowledge is giving reality to the one who wears the costume. Just shifting. For ignorant person, the costume is important. For the wise person, the one manifesting through costume is important. Shifting that. When costume is important, hatred is there, attachment is there, aversion is there, selfishness is there. When the person is important, kindness is there, love is there, goodness is there. Meaning that by all the time replacing the positive tendencies in ourselves, what we are doing is giving importance to the person and giving less and less importance to the costume, such that someday the costume will not matter at all. What matters is the one manifesting through the costume. Brahman, Ishvara, Vasudeva. That's the vision of the wise person. And that's, suppose you have that vision, suppose you have that vision, you see goodness everywhere, kindness, love, fullness. What else do we need? You are full, kind, loving person. That is happiness. That is the goal of life. So Bhagavad Gita teaches the method of how to achieve that goal by constantly sacrificing ignorance in the fire of knowledge. That's called yajna. So in the 4th chapter, Lord Krishna describes this basic yajna called the fire of the sacrifice of knowledge, the ignorance in the knowledge, the fire of knowledge. That's the ultimate yajna. How do we make our life like that? So we can make our life also yajna, or like a process of constantly offering ignorance, so that someday we also abide in that yajna. So in that 4th chapter, following this verse 24, a number of practices are described by Lord Krishna, where the spirit of self-offering. So how do you bring to practice the spirit of self-offering? By observing certain disciplines involving self-control, self-restraint. What's to be restrained? Ignorance is to be restrained. So when anger comes, I restrain that and I deliberately place that kindness or sympathy. That's what the kind of control we want. So Lord Krishna prescribes some practice of self-control, like pranayama. What is pranayama? Controlling breath. There's one practice of self-control, easier. Controlling breath is easier than controlling mind. So start with controlling body, controlling breath, controlling your food, controlling these grosser things which help us slowly controlling the subtler things. And so Lord Krishna says, that this seeker, the sadhaka, even performing regular puja also is sacrifice, by the way. Performing puja every day also is nothing but a sadhana, because it involves offering. In puja also, when you do make offering to Lord, offer flowers, show lamp, offer food, etc. Basically, through all that processes, I am offering the love or devotion. I am invoking my love or devotion by those offerings. They say in the Vedic times this puja was not there, and so then the offering was like yoga, asana, pranayama. So Lord Krishna says, Shrotradi Nindriyanyanye Sanyamagnishu Jukhvati Shabdadi Vishyananye Indriyagnishu Jukhvati. Lord Krishna describes one simple discipline. Discipline in food. Shabdadi Vishyananye Indriyagnishu Jukhvati. See, through all five senses of our perception, we constantly experience these five objects. Shabda, sparsha, what is? Shabda, sparsha, then what?
Rasa, ranga, rasa, rupa, gandha, rup, gandha.
Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. What is shabda?
Wording.
Sound. Sparsha, touch. Rupa,
Form.
color and form. Rasa, gandha. So these are the five objects. For experiencing them, we have the five organs of perception. So we perceive the sound with which organ?
Ears.
Organ of hearing. The touch with the skin. The color with eyes. Taste with tongue or palate. And smell with. So Lord Krishna starts with that. Doesn't just stop hearing and stop tasting. He says, only hear what is good and give up hearing what is not good. Meaning that whatever can create in you a negative feeling, stop hearing that and hear only those things which create in you a positive feeling, which invokes your goodness, which supports your goodness. So what we want is, we want to nourish that goodness within ourselves. We want to avoid any influences which can encourage. Unfortunately, we have both the things in us. The Devata also is there, the Asura also is there. The goodness also is there, evil also is there. If you are not careful, what happens is, all these different stimuli that come to us, like different sounds, different touch, different colors and forms, different tastes, different smells, different food, different talking, different watching, different reading. See, all of this is food, you know. Food only not goes to the mouth. Food goes and goes to all these organs of perception because all of them influence in our mind, is it not so? What we eat, of course, is influence in our mind. Have you heard this? You are what you eat. So what we eat has definitely influence on our mind, etc. But what we hear, what we touch, what we see, what we taste, what we smell, all of these also have influence in our mind. Is it not so? So Lord Krishna says, a simple discipline is restrain or do not allow any stimulus that can create, that can invoke the evil in you. There are both of us. Devata also is there and Asura also is there. The God also is there, evil also is there. The stimulus can invoke either of them. You can read something which can invoke the sensuous self in me. I can read something which can invoke the good self in me. So sensuous fellow also is there and the good devotee also is in me. Therefore, Shabdadi Vishananye Indriyagnishu Jukhvati. Whenever you allow only those stimuli to enter into you which only nourish the devata, the goodness which is in you, and stop or restrain any stimuli which can invoke the evil in you, because both are there. World also has both kind of stimuli. Unfortunately, these days, in the Kali Yuga means what? The age of Kali. Those stimuli which invoke or which stimulate or which provoke the negative in me are many more than those which provoke or invoke the goodness in me. Therefore, being very careful all the time in trying to avoid any stimuli that can provoke in me the negative things. Meaning, when you are watching TV, reading magazines, reading newspapers, talking to others, hearing things, eating, drinking, tasting, touching. So what does the sadhaka do? Just careful whether he asks this question, is this stimulus, what is it going to do to me? Is it going to invoke in me, nourish the goodness in me, or is it going to provoke the evil in me? I do not allow those things to enter in me which may provoke the asura in me. Only allow those things which will nourish the devata in me. One discipline. Shabdadi Vishananye Indriyagnishu Jukhvati. As you keep on doing it, slowly a time comes when you stop, when you see no need to hear anything. And all the sense organs are completely restrained. Sanyamagnishu Jukhvati. That ultimate step. So thus in those verses Lord Krishna prescribes some of these practices which also he calls yajna, which become the means of ultimately that yajna which is a fire of knowledge. So when we make our life a yajna, then it ultimately results into yajna which is the ultimate yajna in terms of the fire of knowledge or the knowledge of Ishvara, knowledge of Brahman. So these are kind of discussions that are there in that section of the fourth chapter that you people are doing right now. But the purpose of those practices is ultimately, as I said, to assert what is right and to negate what is wrong. To assert what is good, negate what is evil. Both these things are there. Satyam also is there, Mithya also is there. We do not allow the Mithya, the evil, to influence us, but we allow only what is Satyam or truth to influence us. That is sadhana. You can do this 24 hours a day. Keep on asking. This talk, this magazine, this newspaper, this TV show, this food, this whatever it is, what is it going to do to me? These days we count calories, count sugar, count fat. You may do that, protein doesn't matter. Add one more thing into that. Whether this brings Devata to me or the Asura to me, that's all. Then also let them have more consideration. It may be alright as far as calorie is concerned, but may not be alright as far as the Devata is concerned. So calorie, you can eat meat, which is good, protein Swami, and then the children asked me, we are in children's camp and I was telling them about eating meat, etc. and how it involves cruelty to animals and this, that and whatnot. But Swami, they say that certain proteins we can only get from meat, we can't get from vegetable. So just because you want protein, you want to kill that fellow or what? But Swami, B12, these children say, you can't get from it. For your B12, you want to kill this animal. My B12 is so important that animal's life does not matter. My protein is so important that this... So that means, I said, when an animal is killed, how does it feel? Is it happy? Bring a chicken and, it turn its neck and twist it. It will scream. Then we fear, screaming in that. This is cruel act of cruelty, and when you eat that thing, Bhai Swami used to describe it very nicely, Swami man, you say, see, when you are taking that soup, chicken soup, you see the piece of chicken on that soup, then when you remember, oh, this is the same chicken that until yesterday I was raising and feeding and loving. Also chicken thought that I love. Chicken did not know the purpose of my feeding was ultimately to make it my food. So people have their goats in their home, all kinds of animals in their home. For what purpose? Hello. In Salzburg, there's a back road, we go for a walk. In that there's a cow pen, some cows are raised. These cows do not know where they're going to land ultimately.
Yeah, somebody's coming out.
Dinner.
I'm sorry. Delivery, pizza delivery.
Dinner.
I'm sorry, sir.
Oh, okay.
So the point is that it may be good for your B12, good for your protein, but it's good for you. Meaning that good for yourself or not. That's very also important. You don't only have body, you also have mind, will, self also. So whatever goes in does not go in without the scrutiny of my mind or my intellect. And whether it is going to, is it conducive to myself or it is damaging to myself. So avoid anything that damages. So from now on, not only calories, not only fat, but now we also add one more factor. Whether is this nourishing myself or is it hurting myself? This is called Shabdadi, Vishayananya, Indriya, simple discipline. Start from this starting point. Ultimately, a point comes when you even say to the ears, you don't need to hear anything. Why do you need to hear? You want to get happiness, pleasure. As you discover pleasure from yourself, the need to hear and see and taste and touch also goes away. That means you can block all your sense organs. Shrotrarini indriyani sanyamanushu jikhvati. To help in this, because we forget Swamiji, but then when a time comes and forget, I realize later on. So you need to develop some discipline. So pranayama is also prescribed that. And so apane jikhvati pranam, prane panam tatha pare, prana panagati ruddha, pranayama parayana. So lekam, purakam, etc. Meaning that practice of controlling breath helps us becoming alert, controlling mind. That alertness then I employ constantly. Dravya, tapoya, you can perform this dravya also, you can make offering of dravya, your wealth, tapasya or penance in your life, yoga, jnanam, study, swadhyaya, repeating Ishvara's name. All these also can become different yajnas or spiritual practices. So that's what Lord Krishna prescribes there in that section of the 4th chapter. Okay, if any questions are there? Yes, sir.
Swami, in chapter 4, verse 35 to 37, they also describe the Lord Krishna that due to the Gyan Agni, all your Sanchit karma and Agami karma and partially Prarabdha karma are destroyed. Could you please explain what that means? How those are destroyed, those karmas which you had in the Sanchit?
Lord Krishna says, Yathidam Sanidogni Bhasmasat Kurte Arjuna Bhasmas Jnanagni Sarvakarmani Bhasmasat Kurte Tatha. Just as the blazing fire turns all the fuel to ashes, all the wood, so it is also the fire of knowledge turns to ashes all the ignorance. And karma, all the sense of doership is a product of ignorance. That's what gets destroyed, burned in the fire of knowledge. That I am a doer of action is a product of ignorance. Lord Krishna describes in the 4th chapter, karma, that self is actionless. So the knowledge of the self that is actionless, this notion that I am a doer gets offered. When doer is not there, then the karma has no effect. The karma only affects the doer. When doer himself goes into the fire of knowledge, karma has no effect. So Lord Krishna says that all karma also get burnt in the fire of knowledge. You understand what I am saying?
Right. But at the same time, they say that your next birth is determined by your previous karma.
There is no birth for this person.
Okay.
For the person whose karma are all burnt, there is no birth.
But that means nobody will be reborn because they get this jnana or knowledge, or jnana agni, then...
You are welcome. Let everybody have jnana. Let nobody be born. People can't control the diet. Well, a question of controlling ignorance and it's a dream. Maybe this is always a question. But if everybody gets enlightened, what will happen? Nothing will happen. If you turn into heaven, that's all. No questions? We made it as simple as possible, and I thought that would raise a lot of questions, but anyway, maybe it's all clear.
Or maybe stood back. No, I mean there are questions, but you explain well.
So, Swami, there's a request from Vinabhavi.
That request I hear every time.
Oh, you do?
One always.
What she's saying is they are interested in meditation in the Gita, Vichara. So she's requesting if Swami could conduct meditation for 10 minutes.
It's not the time to conduct meditation.
Okay. The messenger.
What is going on? What? I would expect questions and on discussion. We are talking about meditation and stuff like that. But we are talking about that living our day-to-day life and how to do that. Instead of that, why to distract, from the whole thing?
I raised my hand first.
Don't ask technical questions. Ask the questions about what I talked about. Not all the physics work and stuff like that. That's not what we talked about. Yes.
So you spoke about trying to, even though you feel a cruel thought, that you should create a kind thought. But the problem is, daily life, you have a lot of confrontation, especially if you deal with a lot of different people, whether at work or school or whatever. And although conceptually that's a nice idea to change your cruel thought to a kind thought, reality is that you're confronted with a lot of stress, and it's hard to constantly adjust to become that ideal, kind person that you want. I mean, you strive at it, but it's really somewhat unrealistic in daily life. I'm not talking about, this setting. This is a nice setting, but when you're in the thick of it, at work, or dealing with your family, and you're tired, it's a long day, that's when you break. So that is a struggle, and that's, my realistic concern.
So here's the question that yes, this is a very good concept of acting out of kindness, out of goodness. But it is true that in our life, when we are interacting with people, particularly human beings, they keep on pushing our buttons. Thing is, we have lots of buttons. Anger is one button. Jealousy is another button. Likes and dislikes are all buttons. It is not that the world makes it difficult. Why? Because the world is people. By their conduct, they keep on pushing different buttons in me. So, you push button of anger, impatience. So, therefore, it is not so much out there which is a problem. It is what is within me, that's a problem.
Correct.
Okay. Meaning that, again and again, we find ourselves confronting ourselves. Even though we talk about confronting the world, what the world makes us do is confront our own self by pushing our buttons. And therefore, I have to confront my impatient self, my angry self, my jealous self, my selfish self. I have to confront that, which is difficult. So, confronting the world becomes an occasion, becomes only incidental, which forces me to confront with myself. So in a way, living this life has a great advantage that it constantly brings out of me what is all stored inside. So I have an opportunity to recognize or be familiar with my own self, so that I know what I need to do. So we get tired, not so much by work. We get tired because of this constant impatience that we take tired with ourselves, with the impatient self, with the angry self, the selfish self. We get tired and stressed out by that. It is not the work that stresses us out. It's not the world that even stresses me out. It is my own self that stresses me out. Understand this basic thing. What the world does is, it pushes the buttons and forces me to confront myself. So all that doesn't matter. Suppose you find that you are not able to live up to your value because of this excitement. Because we get excited, we get provoked easily. When you get provoked, then that provocation takes over me, and that time even though I have a value for being a kind person, that nowhere appears, and that provocation takes hold of me. Okay. So when you come home in the evening, when there is some quiet moment, hopefully there is some quiet moment.
There's no quiet moments at my end.
All right.
I'm just letting you know.
When you wake up in the morning, is there a quiet moment?
No, because somebody's screaming.
Huh?
That's why I woke up. Because one of my 2 children are screaming very loudly. That's why I'm awake.
The thing is,
But no, you know what? It's quiet.
No, I know. But children are screaming. Suppose,
Constantly.
yeah,
Right.
suppose we accept this reality that it is the nature of children to scream. Suppose I decide that screaming is not good, screaming is enjoyable, suppose. It's a matter of your decision.
That's a stretch, Swamiji.
But you decided that I don't want this. You decide, I don't want this, I want that. When you do not get what you want, you get excited, you stressed out. But suppose you say, what is what I want?
Okay.
Suppose my child is screaming, okay, poor thing, be kind, has some difficulty, that's why he's screaming.
You clearly haven't met Leela enough.
If you understand that what is causing stress is our expectation rather than what is.
Yes.
What is does not cause is our expectation. It's supposed to be like this. My child is, if the neighbor's child screams, it doesn't happen, nothing actually happens to me, My child, because I expect my child to be like this and not to be like that. It's natural. I don't blame. It's natural in all of us. At least we should know. It is not the child that is doing it to me. It is my expectation of a child. At least that much know. So I know where to work. I keep on correcting that fellow. I retain myself as I am. I remain intact. Keep on always changing the world and rearranging things, and we remain what we are. So what happens? Even when he stops screaming because I did whatever I did, then now he doesn't want to eat. Okay. And when he eats, he doesn't want to eat that thing. He wants to eat that thing, he doesn't want to wear this. He wears that thing. Our expectations are infinite and countless. And regardless of what the child does, he can never satisfy us. Regardless of what he does, he can never satisfy us. Really? Because not to be satisfied is my nature. To keep demanding, you know where? Because basically I am not comfortable with myself. I am not happy with myself. And I want my child to conduct himself in such a manner that I am comfortable with myself. So basically what I am demanding from everybody is, make me comfortable with myself. Hey Dylan, make me comfortable with myself. Hey Leela, make me comfortable with myself. That's what I want. When I say don't scream, make me comfortable with myself. Now, even if they keep on doing it, the discomfort is there, and that discomfort will come out in a different demand. Now it doesn't scream, okay, sit now. Don't run around. Doesn't run around. Sit down. Don't move your legs. As I said, my discomfort with myself will only keep on coming out as a variety of demands. Unless I deal with that, I will remain a demanding person. Why am I a demanding person? Because basically my demand is that I want to be comfortable with myself. I find myself uncomfortable self.
Right, but here's my struggle with this, right? This is all great conceptually, but you cannot have a screaming child in most situations. It's inappropriate.
Why is it inappropriate?
Because it's bothersome.
Why should it bother you?
It doesn't bother me. I don't care if they scream. It bothers
Suppose you
everybody.
decide doesn't bother you. Suppose you decide to accept it. It's the nature of child to scream. What else? It's running around. What do you expect it to do?
So you don't discipline a child?
Huh?
You don't discipline, you just let them kind of do what they
You can discipline without being stressed out. If you accept it, that's to scream is the nature, you're not stressed out.
Right,
You
see,
know what
so
is to
that's the class I need to take. The discipline. Not stress.
But yes, it's a matter of decision.
You got it now. Which class to go?
It is a matter of decision
Sign me up.
that I'm going to accept what is.
Right.
The child cannot help. It is the nature of the poor child to scream. Whatever problem the child has with itself makes him scream. It is hungry, so it does this. It is stomachache, so it does this. It is sleepy, so it does this. It is tired, so it does this. It is this, so it does this. Let us take out some time for the child. All the time working and doing this and all that stuff. You become mother and no time for child. What is this nonsense? There is no business. When we become parents, we have to be responsible people and we have to give, the quality time. You can't expect the world, it's not a machine. Then you expect you to make adjustment and stop doing that, stop doing that. I expect when I come home, my child should behave like this and like that. My child says, I expect my mother to behave like this and like that.
That should be the one.
It's the other side of coin, yes, I'm showing you, which is where you need to do work also. But basically accept yourself. It is a problem of my not accepting myself. I am demand from myself. My demand from myself results in demand from others. My child should be like this, patient should be like this, that fellow should be like that. Because basically, I am not happy with myself. I make demands of myself. So exercise. Neha, accept yourself, enjoy yourself, enjoy what you are. That's the rule. That's the sutra, formula. Enjoy what I am. Not that I will become a millionaire, then I will enjoy myself. Not that I will do this practice, then I will enjoy myself. Not that I will do this and not enjoy. Then let's not postpone the enjoyment then.
Yes, I have a long list.
Huh?
That
I'm sure, not only you, I know myself, so I know what you have. I don't have to look elsewhere. That's how the mind is. The thing is, we need not postpone enjoyment of ourselves and something will happen. Let me enjoy myself as I am. There is enough in me to enjoy. There is enough in me to be dissatisfied, enough in me also to be satisfied. If I count my blessings, there is enough in me to be satisfied. Count the blessings. It could be different. It's not. We say it could be different. I could have been a millionaire and I'm not. Okay. I could be a pauper but I'm not. It can be anything. And ultimately, even if I become a millionaire, I'll demand that I should have 2 million, and then I'll demand I have 5 million. So that self-demand will never go by doing anything. And so simple formula by Saint Tulsidas. Godhana, Gajadhana, Vajidhana or Ratanadhana Khan. Those days the wealth was counted Godhana as cattle, Gajadhana as elephants, Vajidhana as horses. So these are, I have all of this wealth. Or Ratanadhana, I have in fact a mine of all jewels. Jo aave santosha dhana. Sabadana dhula samana. One wealth comes of contentment with what I am. With not what I have, with what I am. Contentment with what I am. But nothing else is required. All we require is to be content with ourselves. That's all the struggle is only for that purpose. Nothing else. All the struggle is to see myself as acceptable to myself. Because as I am not acceptable to myself. Why? My weight is this, my height is this, my eyes are this, my nose is this, my looks is this, and whatever else I make demands of myself. As mother I should be this, as wife I should be this, as doctor I should be this, as woman is this. Different from what I am, that's all. It's endless. Regardless of what you do with yourself, you'll never be what you want to be because you don't know what you want to be. Vedanta says you already are what you want to be. That's what we discussed today. And the way to do it is this simple thing, not simple. Simple in principle. Even if difficult or not difficult. You don't become a dentist just like that. It's not simple. But we do it. It requires so much hard work. And doing fellowship requires even harder work. How could we do that? It's not easy. So nothing is easy, but just be difficult doesn't mean you can't do that and we should not do it.
Nothing's harder than kids.
Nothing harder than ourselves, say that. Nothing, not only you, nothing harder than myself. Nothing harder. Is that button that the kids push? What's the basic button? I am not happy with myself. By screaming, he pushes that button. By not doing what I want him to do, he pushes that button. So they are good teachers. They are good teachers in as much as they demand and they require me to confront myself. I want to avoid that. By quietening him, I want to avoid confronting myself. That's what it is. By not confronting the screaming child, I want to avoid confronting myself. Because when he screams, I am forced to confront myself, which I want to avoid. So stop it, so that I don't have to confront myself. Understand this. If you don't, nobody understands, unfortunately. They keep on doing things in their world, keeping themselves intact and miserable selves. We have to only deal in ourselves. Why? Accept what you are. You know, 3 talks, graceful acceptance, but you have no time.
What if you are constantly kind to somebody and still that person will take the kindness but then return you with unkindness? So that time, okay, you silently take it, but it hurts. So how do you deal with yourself? How do you teach yourself to, okay, you did what you are supposed to do. You can't control the other person. So they did what they wanted to do. But how do I help myself to get over from that hurt?
Again, hurt comes from expectation. And that person should conduct in a certain way. They should return the favor in a certain way.
Not even that. It's a common courtesy.
That's an expectation. That is a favor.
But Swamiji, I understand that. But when you sacrifice and do something for somebody and that person turns around and hurts you.
I'm sorry to say that it's not real kindness. It is an action but not kindness. In real kindness, you are happy doing what you are doing. When I'm not happy what I'm doing, then there is an expectation of that fellow returning.
No, you are happy doing what you are doing. That's why you do. Not you are forced to do it. You volunteer to do. You wanted to do. Out of love.
If you are happy doing what you are doing, there is no expectation because that itself is a fulfillment.
Expectation can never be there, but it just turns to that somebody just hurts you.
You cannot be hurt unless you had an expectation. Hurting is...
So if somebody is completely rude to you, unkind to you, unconsiderate to you, without you doing anything to that person, just because something didn't go there.
I can give a theoretical answer, definitely.
Okay.
That even that person's rudeness, all of that comes from inner pain. If you see the person behind the behavior, it's difficult, very difficult. But still, it's a fact that all rudeness all unkindness comes from inner pain. It never comes from inner happiness. So if you can shift. Now what happens? I'll tell you this. This is a daily affair. What you're describing is an everyday affair. Right? Because a person on the street doesn't bother me. Even if he's not kind, I don't care.
Right.
But what matters is a person every day I confront who behaves consistently in this manner. Okay. So then what we can do is we can ourselves meditate on that person and meditate and visualize unkindness, rudeness, cruelty. Then I make myself see, look, behind this there is some pain inside. That person is hurting, person is bruised, the person is hurt. That's what makes the person weak. I haven't hurt, somebody else. Something is inside there which comes out in this manner. And maybe in some manner I am also provoking that person. Am I doing something? There is a possibility also that inadvertently I am pushing some button there. Is there some change I can bring in myself? Number one. And number two, that's how that person is. Can I accept? Because it's a pain. Helplessly the person does this. Now it is not easy to be unkind to a person who is kind to you, How much, insensitivity must be there for that person to behave like that insensitivity shows so much pain.
I don't know.
I'm telling you. Because a person who is happy can never be unkind. An unhappy person alone can be unkind, alone can be rude, alone can be aggressive, never a happy person. So now, in the morning, you meditate on now to confront this person. Person behave like this. Mind, what is your strategy? Your strategy is that see the person behind the behavior. Behind the rude behavior, there is a person in pain. Behind unkind behavior, there is a person in pain. And therefore, when you see that pain, there will be your sympathy will be aroused. And that unkindness, that this is out of helplessness. The person is not rude out of deliberation, out of helplessness.
But what if you know that that person is not really helpless?
Has to be. Inside is helpless, not outside. His impulse makes him helpless. His pain makes him helpless. He or her or whatever it is.
But how do I help myself to get over that hurt?
This is what I'm saying. From a person who is hurt, what else do you expect? When a child is hungry, what do you expect? He's screaming.
So that person wants to hurt me?
No, you get hurt. Person does what out of its own pain. Child is screaming out of hunger, not screaming for the sake of screaming. So a person also is rude, hurting because of lot of wounds and pain inside. And therefore, you take them into account. That rudeness will not hurt you as much as it will hurt when you don't take into account. When you see that the child is screaming because of hunger, then you can take that screaming more, easily than otherwise. This one is screaming to hurt me, to provoke me, he is screaming. That's one interpretation. Because of hunger he is screaming. Then?
Yeah, but you can also look at it that way, that a child is innocent. Child doesn't know better. But the adults do know better.
They don't know better. Nobody knows better. There's no adult. An adult will not behave like this. Adult will not be angry. An angry person is a child. A rude person is a child. Immature. Child is immature.
Okay.
As a child, this fellow was rude. He has not grown. He has remained that.
I always try to say, okay, I'm trying to forgive. I'm trying to forgive that person.
No, understand first. Don't forgive. That is not forgiveness. Understanding brings about a genuine sympathy, that brings a genuine forgiveness. That forgiveness is not forgiveness, only words.
Yeah, it is.
It's not genuine forgiveness.
I try to tell myself so, but you are right. It's not real forgiveness.
It's
Because
not
you
real
haven't
kindness
accepted
also.
that. Yeah.
It is not real kindness.
No.
It's an action, not real kindness.
Swami, coming back to Neha's question, isn't it contradictory to try to discipline the kids and also accept what their behavior?
Yes, both you can do.
How?
You
They
can
are contradictory.
you can
You accept,
discipline.
there is nothing to change.
You can discipline out of kindness or discipline out of anger. When we discipline the children, we are reacting. Out of anger we are doing it. You can be kind. You see the child needs to change, so with all compassion you can discipline. Okay child, what do you call it? Time out, so what is it? Time out. No, time out can be out of anger, or time out can be helping the child. So right now time out is because I want to punish that child. We are not disciplining, we are punishing them. We are not disciplining them.
So that means that we are not accepting their behavior.
Certainly not. Whenever I act out of anger, it is a non-acceptance. When I react, it's not acceptance. I say I am disciplining, I am punishing actually. My anger is coming out in the form of disciplining, so I punish that child. And I get some kind of vicarious satisfaction that okay, I got even with the child. It hurt me, I'll hurt him.
It's contradictory to me.
Huh?
It seems contradictory to me.
What is contradictory?
You said you have to accept children's behavior as they are.
Right?
Then there is nothing to change.
Why?
If you truly accept their behavior.
No, accept means what? You accept, that's what the child is. Secondly, for the benefit of the child, this needs to change, so help the child change.
And then on.
Yeah.
It's 9:15, sorry. It's 9:15.
There is nothing.
Yeah, it is.
Paresh is in numbers now.
I have a question.
Last question.
Everybody wants kindness, but why do cruelty comes in the way?
Because both are there within ourselves.
Okay.
We have kindness also and
Can you
cruelty.
tell them to quiet down?
And so the world presses the button, that's called pushing the buttons.
Okay.
So cruelty is there, they push that button, so cruelty comes out.
Okay.
So that is when we have to be alert. And remind ourselves, hey, cruelty is not right for me. Kindness is right for me. So let me overcome this cruelty. At least let me not express cruelty. Even if cruelty comes inside, we can stop it from expressing in words or actions. That much we can do. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.
Swamiji, I have a request if it is possible.
No request.
No request.
Not from me.
Not from.
Not from me.
Not from me.
No, my voice is not working.
Okay, then there is no request. So, Acha, just for dinner, we have something different arrangement this time. People who do not eat pizza, or I know few people they don't eat it. People who do not eat pizza, onion, garlic, or sauce or something. We have prepared dinner for them separately that they don't have to eat. Like I know Kartik, then Bharat, Rasmi, then
It's okay, you don't have to name them. They can
I have to
just-
name them because other people who are not eating, they can help, they can sit with Swamiji. Otherwise they will not come out and sit by themselves. Harsha, I don't know about she eats or not.
Buddha Vaishnava.
But the Vaishnava, yes.